In this video, we're going to take a look at how hard and soft engineering strategies are actually used in a particular stretch of river, and for that we're going to go to the 6 Mile Water in County Antrim. So ultimately what I'm going to do is to get you to make a summary poster of some of the things that you find here. So there's various bits and pieces that you can gather in terms of information about this river that you can include in that. We start off by taking a look at the drainage basin of the river itself. If you click on that blue area, it will give you the area of the drainage basin, so that would be good for you to include as well. We'll zoom in a little bit closer. You could count the number of major tributaries that feed into it as well, and of course, this being a GIS map, you can zoom around and have a little bit of a look. We come down here towards the mouth of the river, and you could mention the loch that the mouth flows into. And if we come all the way up here towards the source, we could mention where it rises in terms of its location there. That would be some things that you could do to give a little bit of general context of the river. But the main area that we're going to look at is in the town of Ballyclare, which sits just down here in the floodplain down from the source of the river itself. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. So one of the things that would be good for you to do is to talk about the context of Ballyclare. The fields here obviously are showing the rural area, and the bits in red are the built up urban area of the town itself. Each of these little dots represents a survey site where each of them has information, and there is a key here for this. If we look at the legend, the green dots are where soft engineering is used, and the red dots are where hard engineering is used. So you will see that there's a mixture, which is interesting because the preference in the 21st century is very much for soft engineering. Soft engineering does get flood control, but it also brings about environmental and social benefits. So if you can use soft engineering, that's definitely what you want to use. And yet there's some hard engineering in here. So what we can then do is go in and have a closer look and explore some of the reasons why. So the first place that we come to is upstream of Ballyclare itself. Again, you can move this around to get a little bit of a sense of it, and you can see here that according to our key, these are all soft engineering areas. So the idea behind this is for you to go into these little pins here, which gives you some information. It'll tell you the management strategy, soft engineering. The method in this case is washlands. Washlands being your upstream area, which is allowed to flood, so the water floods here rather than going down here. It's using this as a natural store, and each of these has a photograph located with it as well to give you a sense of what that floodplain looks like. You can see that the river here is reasonably full up. You can see some hints of puddles here which acting as a store, but the river has flooded here slightly. Now there in the background is the leisure centre, so you can see that we are quite close to the urban area. There is your floodplain, and that is acting as your natural store. Just a little side there towards the edge of the floodplain, there's your bluff lines, your low cliffs either side of it. So it's a very classic. And if you come further on down here, you'll see that there are pins. Each of the pins has some further information and some more photographs for you to get a look at. So the idea is that you go and visit these places, just travel down the river, get a real sense of what the soft engineering looks like here, and bringing in this case, some of the habitat diversity and things like this. It'll give you a real sense of the river. Now you travel further on down here, and then you come towards this little area. This is quite interesting because this little area in here, just upstream of the leisure centre, is somewhere where river restoration has been used. They've put in a little area here for nesting birds. A variety of birds use this area for nesting. To prevent disturbance, please keep your dogs in your lead. This is very important, particularly in February to August time. So you'll get a bit of a sense of that. Then we come down in here to the urban park. So this is into the urban area, but there is a parkland here, so we can still use this for soft engineering. And again, you can go through there and get a little bit of an indication and a hint of what's being done here. The photographs will show you, the text will give you some information. Then we come down into the urban area proper, and we go from this, which is quite an interesting contrast. So this is still at the edge of the urban park, and you can see here quite considerable habitat diversity. There's the ducks and even a heron in here in this area. So this is supporting a range of habitats for different plants and animals. You go from that just down here to something that looks very, very different. Again, you can read over this when you're going through the map yourself. We come in here and we can see, oh my goodness, this doesn't look natural at all. Even an abandoned supermarket trolley down there. And what type of method have we got here and why? See, this is clearly a flood wall because you've got those buildings in behind and they need protected from flooding and from lateral erosion. And the next few will bring you down, and again you can read through this. This is looking back up from the previous photograph was just taken here. This is now looking at the bridge in the town centre, and that is as unnatural a river as you could get. Compared to that, just a few hundred metres upstream, and we've now become that. That's hard engineering. Now why? Why? Again, look at the buildings and the infrastructure nearby. A few more that you can have a look at there, and then there's a little tributary that feeds in here. This is definitely worth taking a look at as well, because this little tributary here shows you some of the other engineering strategies that are used. Here's the tributary coming down. This side of the river has a levee, embankment, and over here, these are called gabions. We'll meet these in coasts. They are rock-filled cages. So they put up there to protect these relatively new build houses there as well. And look how straight the river is at that point. And you can just get a real sense of what has happened to this river and how engineered it is. Look at how straight that is. This is a good illustration of how these walls need to be updated. This is the lack of sustainability of the hard engineering. This is one of your older original walls. A few years ago, this wall had been so badly damaged by the erosion that it had to be taken down again and completely rebuilt. So that is tying future generations into the costs of having to rebuild. That is not exactly the most sustainable of approaches. And again, compare that to that, how different that is, all within such a small area. Then we come down here into another urban park. We've got a confluence of that little tributary that we were just looking at and the main river. There's the little tributary come down here. Here's the main river, and we're back into an urban park at this area. And so if I zoom out a little bit here, you can see the context of this. And all of a sudden you have got room. And all of a sudden you go from hard engineering back into soft engineering. Why? Because you've got room. Because the park allows for a degree of distance between the buildings there and the river itself, and we're back into soft engineering again. So again, you can go through and click on a few of those, get a little bit of a sense of what is being done in these areas. Oops, excuse me, I'm going to go over here. What is being done in these areas and how that looks so different. And what you have here is an urban park. This area has been allowed to go reasonably wild, so you've got habitat diversity there. You've also got the social benefits here of this being used for recreation, and so it's bringing those benefits to people as well. So we zoom back out again, we'll get the final overview. Looking from upstream, you've got your washlands there. Your soft engineering into the hard engineering that's needed when you're in the centre of the urban area, and then where you've got the urban park down here, again you've got some options and some choices to go back into soft engineering. So yes, the preference is very much for soft engineering where you can use it, but where that proves problematic, or where there is infrastructure to protect, or where you've got buildings right along the side of the riverbank itself, you might need to bring in some hard engineering. So your final task then will be, and I'll shoot another video for that, is to produce your summary poster to reflect some of the things that you'll be looking at when you go through here, some of this information that you're going to be bringing on, of the methods that are used of soft and hard engineering, and the reason why. I'm interested to see, can you show me a good understanding of why these methods are used in the particular locations that they are.